Welcome to Reclaiming Consciousness. I'm Elise Bassine, trauma and breathwork expert and creator of the Metamorphosis Method, the only methodology bridging the gap between spiritual healing and clinical trauma work. For many years, our consciousness has been hijacked by societal and cultural programming, religion, the media, and familial and ancestral trauma. In this podcast, you'll discover my unique perspective on trauma healing and how it is the gateway to fully reclaiming your consciousness. You'll hear stories and teachings that expand your mind as you discover how every relationship challenge, business block, or limiting pattern is an invitation to reclaim the parts of your consciousness you unknowingly gave away. Get ready to go deep. Now let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. This week, I'm so excited for this episode because I have my longtime friend, Steph, on the show. Stephanie Singer, but to me, she's Steph. I've known Steph for like at least 15 years, probably more. I met Steph right when I moved back to Philly from Tucson. So I think that was like in 2009. And we live in the same neighborhood. We have like the same friend group. Our boys were born at the same time, and our girls are not that far apart either. Our kids have grown up together, and she's just an incredible human being. And I'm so excited for her because she has just started her own business called Bliss Retreats, and she's going to be hosting retreats. And it's like so exciting to me because this is just one of those things that when you see someone doing it, you're like, oh, that makes perfect sense because she is naturally really good at that. You know, Steph is one of those people, and you'll see on the show, that is just naturally so connective and naturally connects people and naturally creates a vibe and an energy and brings people together. That's just like her natural talent and ability. And now she is leveraging that to create her own business, bringing people together for really special, really magical, high vibe retreats. And the first retreat is going to be in the Catskills in October in upstate New York. And I am going to be teaching there. I'm going to be teaching my whole process. So if you have not been with me in person yet, this is such an amazing opportunity to do that, because being able to do the inner child healing process with me in person, having me pinpoint your core wound and helping you navigate the process of shifting it, learning how to shift it in real time to create a permanent change in your life, your business, your relationships, whatever the thing is, and then doing breath work with me live. The shift you will feel after this is palpable. And I love, love, love doing this with people in person. So come to the Catskills. I think there's only now maybe like 5 spaces left. What we're doing is, for my listeners, even though the early bird pricing is done, if you reach out to Steph to sign up and you say that you are from Elise's audience, she will give you the early bird rate. So if you are interested in coming, please reach out to me or Steph as soon as possible, because I think the spaces are going to fill pretty quickly. And if you have not ever been to upstate New York in the fall, forget it. It's like the greatest thing ever. Just like the fall foliage is like in full magical effect. And it's just going to be a really transformational, high vibe, you won't leave the same as you came in kind of experience. So I'm so excited for it. So please reach out if you want to learn more about it, you want to get more info, and if you want to sign up. I'm really excited for you to hear this episode with Steph. And one other thing, I just started a Substack, and I'm super excited about it. And I just published my first article. So please follow me on Substack. I'm going to be publishing a lot more over there. And it's going to be a lot of me just being super raw and real and not holding back on what I think about certain things. And then there's also going to be paid content where you're going to get access to the actual tools you can use and stories of how I've applied the tools in real life to change my life and stuff that's happened with my husband, my kids, my relationships, all the things that I don't share anywhere else. So I'm super excited about it. I've been feeling called to do it for a long time. And yesterday, in true manifesting generator fashion, I just spent the entire day creating it. So we're going to link that below as well. Please reach out to me about the retreat and follow Steph and Bliss Retreats on Instagram. Thank you so much. Enjoy the episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. So I am super excited to have with me longtime friend and incredible new business owner and so many other things that you'll hear about on today's show. I have Stephanie Singer with me. Steph, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Finally, we made it.
I know. I'm so happy you're here. So Steph and I have been friends for like 15 years-ish. Our kids grew up together. We were pregnant at the same time with our boys. And yeah, we've just been through a long time of friendship. And I'm just so happy that you're here. So Steph has recently started her own business hosting retreats. And we're going to talk about that today and just like her journey. And the first retreat that we're hosting in October, you're going to hear about that. So why don't we just start with, can you just tell us a little bit about you and just like what brought you to this place that you're at now?
Yeah, thanks. And just so impressed with your business. So it's been so fun watching you grow into this and become a digital marketing and podcast and of course, breathwork and trauma expert, but all the skills that you build along the way. And I'm really into growth and personal growth, something I've always been inspired by my whole life and trying to soak up as much information as I can while we're on this planet. What else are we going to do? So I love human connection is a big thing of mine. Live music is a big thing of mine and travel and really just trying to think about how to learn and grow and what you want to bring into your body and how you live your life. I've experienced a lot of family and friend death along the way. And so I think when that happens and that trauma happens and you think about people passing, I like to think of it as what do you want to carry with you that's part of them, right? It's their gift for you. And I had that experience in my cousin Avi's funeral. It was a graveside funeral, and I felt the energy of his spirit falling into everyone that was attending. And it was a really beautiful experience that I had. And yeah, it's all this stuff that shapes who we are. And we get to decide who we want to be in this world. And early in my career, I have a very corporate background and entrepreneurial background and lots of hustler. If you look me up on LinkedIn, I've done a lot in my career, right? The thing that I always loved early in my career, I was exposed to going to conferences and taking an immersive experience over a longer duration and really thrive in this sense of space of learning and hearing from different speakers and meeting people and everyone having that buzz around them where they're so excited to be there and they're so present and they're not bogged down by their day-to-day life. And there was something really freeing and juicy to me about that. And I put it in my back pocket, knowing that I was going to start a business one day. And that felt really aligned to my spirit and what I want to do. You know, it was really validated after the pandemic. I went to South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, which is, I think, the ultimate conference experience. And you locked me up for a couple of years during the pandemic and you unleashed me in Texas. And I made so many friends and got to go to movie screenings and really just had such a wonderful time. It was so uplifting. And I think for me, that was the pivotal moment of truth, saying that that is the thing that I want to create. So also along that journey, I studied to be a doula. So I learned from a home birth midwife. Her name's Wapio. She's amazing. And got to study to be a doula. And part of it was I always knew I wanted to be a mom and have kids and not wanting to birth in a hospital. So I didn't want people to tell me what to do. And I wanted to carve my own path. And I'm actually named for a woman named Sarah who birthed 4 kids at home. And so that was something that really resonated with me. And I don't know, just felt like this strength and power to do that. And so I did. And in my journey of having two home births, I was asked by four of my best friends to be their doula. And that was such an honor and privilege to share such a sacred moment with people that were so close, that trusted me so deeply to help them through this really pivotal and vulnerable moment in their life. And I don't take that lightly. I take a lot of honor in that, being asked and being called to do that work. And I have a corporate job, so being a doula wasn't a career move I was going to do, but I knew it was a tool in my tool belt to weave into this next phase. And with life and kids growing up, you think about who you want to be in this world and who you want to surround yourself by, and what you want to create and unleash. And I think there's something magical about women turning in their late 30s into 40s, right? And this sense of power that we realize, and taking a little bit more agency in the decisions that we make and the presence that we want to have into this world. And so all of that is the culmination of the business I started, which is called Bliss Retreats, BLSS Retreats. And it's a space to reflect and shine. Actually got gifted yesterday this little mini disco ball, which really embodies. If you're not seeing the video, I'm holding up a little tiny mini disco ball that sits in the palm of your hand. But that's it, right? It's to reflect and then to go shine in the world and develop the tools to really sustain that momentum that you're trying to cultivate. And I do believe you have to immerse yourself outside of your day to day. It's not a yoga class, it's not a breathwork class, it's not acupuncture, but it's really stepping away and taking a pause to breathe and then return more full with a plan to maintain that energy. So that's really a long answer.
No, that's a good answer. For me, I think it's really cool to watch you do it because I know you, and I know one of the things, like, we like laugh about it, but really, like, if you go anywhere with Steph, she's either going to see someone she knows, or she's going to start talking to someone that knows somebody she knows, or she's just going to make friends with everybody who's there. So you just have this personality where you like just naturally connect people and bring them together.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this, and obviously with like all of the other stuff that you like and enjoy, you like to bring people together and create like an energy and a vibe that's like uplifting. So I just feel like this is a perfect expression of
Mm-hmm.
that, of who you are. And it's just really great to see it like being born. So I know you like wanted to do this, obviously, but what do you feel like was like felt hard or challenging, or what were you scared of, or what are you scared of? What feels like that thing where you're like, oh my God, it's making me like feel doubtful, but oh my God, can this happen? What is that like sticky point for you, or that challenging thing where you were like, can I really do this?
Yeah, I think it's funny because I as much as I'm thinking about that, I think about the opposite end of it, all the stuff that's so validating, right? Like even the name. So my sister and I were driving to dinner from kind of like North Philly, where we live in Fishtown, to South Philly. And I was like, I need to launch this business. I need a name. And she's going through all the branding questions. What do you want people to feel? Who's your target audience? And we're ideating in the car. And then both of us just start giggling because we locked eyes on the car in front of us. And the license plate said Bliss, BLSS. And it was just that, slapping us in the face. And we're like, okay, well, that's done. What else do you want to talk about? And then I was at a fish show recently, and the brand color is magenta. And I'm at a fish show, and I can't make this up, and I have a picture to prove it. So I'll post it in the show notes. But in the middle of the first set, this guy randomly just starts walking by me and then stops right next to me and starts dancing like he's anchored in this space. And he turns, and he's wearing a white hat. In magenta letters, it says Bliss. So it's like these things are just there. And I do feel like they're there for everybody if you're open to it and your eyes are open to it, if you're looking what you're looking at, and really focus on being present and getting out of your own way. And so I feel like I've done so much work in the past couple of years, forever, but specifically in the past couple of years, I removed alcohol. I've been really diving deep into hot yoga again, and just committing to the consistent practice for me has been pivotal, and doing the things that bring me joy and making the connections. And I just feel happier and more open to receive everything. And so I think unblocking yourself is part of the process. I did struggle to answer your question with finding the location of the retreat, right? Because I'm such a vibey person. I met someone and they had a property. So I was like, oh, can I host my retreat there? Great. And I went and looked at it and it was amazing property, but it wasn't the property for Bliss, right? And then I saw someone else and they're like, oh, I own a property. I was like, great. Let me see your property. And I was like, this isn't the right thing. So I started to get a little bit like, oh my God, this is a lot. Can I find the right space? And am I going to be able to do that? But then the third time's a charm. And I got connected to another friend of a friend that happened to be friends with 6 of my friends. And I'm going up there on Saturday. So it's probably going to be after this podcast comes out. But hopefully you can click over and see some of the content. We're hosting the first one in the Catskills at Silent G Farms. And we're going to have the whole property. And that was really important to me, is really making a container where we're the only one. I think the privacy is really pivotal and important. And I think it's really showed me the intention that I'm trying to have with creating the right space. And I'm like a mama bear. I'm very protective of this space. If you're in or if you're out, I'm so fortunate. I have some of my really close friends as my practitioners. Elise is one of them, right? And just making sure there's alignment with who is invited into the space. And that's something that's really a priority of mine, and being called to do that, right? And so that's, I think that I don't want to say the word imposter syndrome, but I just want to make sure that I can do it and really hold that sacred space.
Yeah, of course you can. I think that it's just, you do it by doing it and you learn every time you do it. But for me, it's just so, I've said this before, like after my Costa Rica retreat, I was like, I don't ever want to plan another retreat. I'm good on that. Because to me, that whole piece of it is like a nightmare. And I just want to do what I do. I don't want to do these other things that are like really taxing on me on every level. Because you're right, like the energy and the people and the just the whole like vibe is really, really important. And for me as like a teacher, I can't be concerned with that also. I mean, obviously I am in a sense of what I'm bringing, but at the same time, like all of those things are so important for people to really be able to feel safe enough to open up and have an experience. And I think that there's so many things that can go, not, I want to say they can go wrong, but when you bring a bunch of people together, like everyone's shit comes up and then people have issues about stupid stuff because they think it's about their fucking room, but really it's about something a whole lot deeper.
Exactly.
And you have to, and like, having like a certain kind of vibe in a space transcends those little things where like they don't become as much of a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that I've produced so many events in my career and launch parties for a book at a gallery in Brooklyn, 2-day event. I've done so much of event production, and I worked at an experience design studio. And so that really investigation of all of the touch points along the journey and designing to each one of those is my obsession. That's what I love doing. And so I love that Elise just shared that story, because we were in her kitchen this winter and she was sharing that with me. And I was like, great, let's just work together. I'll do the retreat and you just show up, and here we go. And literally here we are. I said, we're going to do it this year, and we are. And this is, I think, the inspiration, Elise, that you have with your, not just your clients that you work with or the people in your community, but like your really close friends. And Elise and I always say, when things come out of our mouth, it's going to happen. And that's the relationship that we have, the depthness of. Even my birthday, I got a free backpack and I said, I'm going to get you one. And then I did. You know, no stones left unturned with the truth that we speak. And I love the authority, and it's not trying to be egregious, but I think it's just realizing our power and speaking really clear with confidence, the embodiment that we want to experience in this world. And I think we reflect that in each other. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh my God. Thank you. I'm so excited for this, because I said, beyond our conversation, I said before. I just want someone else to plan a retreat and have me come and teach. And and then I'm like, oh, it's happening. So let's talk more about like the whole experience and like the elements that you think are important, right? In terms of, obviously everyone knows like what my work is and all of that, but just like the people that you invited in and just kind of like what your just vision is for this one in particular.
Yeah. So this one in particular is going to be the ultimate experience because we're really going big. I've invited my dear friend, Jana Blankenship, to join us, and she'll be teaching some art. It's going to be incense making, clay modeling, body oil, bath salts, a little bit of DIY education, and a lot of fun. Jan is the owner of Captain Blankenship, which is a seaweed hair product line. You probably have heard of it because it's amazing. She's also an herbalist and a teacher, and I'm really, really, really honored and thrilled that she's going to join us on this journey. A dear friend who teaches amazing yoga, Deb Brownstein. I have known her forever in the music scene and just always had a connection with her. She's such a sweet soul and really strong woman. And she taught prenatal yoga. So I would always go to her class. I did private classes and I just fell in love with the way she teaches because she's had home births as well. We've had the same midwife and always talked about the mindset. And she really speaks in a way that is so uplifting, I think is the word that comes to my mind, and so real and clear. And I called her one day and I was like, I know a ton of yoga teachers, but I want you. You need to do this with me. And she immediately was like, I'll do it.
Wait, can I just like go on one tangent for a second? Because I was just thinking about when you said, like, just talking about the home birth thing. And obviously I didn't have a home birth, but I had the birth I wanted to have, right? With no drugs and all of that. And I remember because people used to say to me, like, that might not happen, or how do you know if that's going to happen? And it's just something where like you decide that you're going to do that and then you just do it. You're not even thinking about anything else. And I feel like when you decide that that's how you're going to do it, especially when it's something that's not conventional. And then when you tell people you're doing it, they're like, oh my God, what about this? Or what about that? Or what if this? Or what if that? And you have to like literally tune out all of that other stuff constantly. And you have to just know 100% that like, that's what you're doing.
Just to build on that, sadly, my uncle passed away 3 weeks before my son, my oldest, was born. And it was tragic and it was sad. And my uncle, his spirit he was always joking around. Like he brought levity to everything. He was like a silly guy, right? And here I am, at Shiva, super duper pregnant. I was about to give birth in 3 weeks and everyone's like, oh, where are you having your baby? And I was like, at home. And I was just freaking everyone out because I never met someone. I loved that he gave me that opportunity to really be the jokester in such a serious, sad environment. But it's not for everybody. And even the friends that I've supported in their births, some of them, their bodies didn't respond to labor. And so, we tried the balloon, we tried miso, and then the last thing is you need to get Pitocin because you need baby out, right? And so my advice was always like, if you're going to get Pitocin, let's get an epidural. Like this is going to be pain. Let's manage the pain. And so you have to go through the journey with people. But I think it's interesting that we got back to the birth thing because I think it really resonates with the retreat. To your point, people know, they have a sense of knowing, but not everybody has the confidence or conviction to really step into it. And I think that's the work that you're meant to do here and that you are doing. And similarly myself, because I'm the witness, right? I'm the mirror and telling people you have a choice and you can go this way or you go this way. Let's make an informed decision. But I'm going to sit here and reflect back so you're not just thinking you're only on one path, right? There's always, what is the Led Zeppelin quote? There's two paths you can go down and there's still time to change the road you're on. That's one of my favorite quotes, but it's true. And I don't think that people realize that. And so helping people see that. And I think that's sort of this next phase of doula work that I'm being called to do for women as they go through different life changes. Their kids are going to go to college. They're going to go through perimenopause and menopause. And there's all these different changes. And I think it's a natural time to reflect of, is this how I want to live my life? You don't have to uproot and change your life, but like, how do I want to show up in my life? And what patterns do I have that I want to break? And I think that's the alchemy that we're going to be creating. So with the yoga, right? And then you're going to do your magic with breath work and the other fun stuff that we've planned for you. And then, of course, serendipity came into my life, which was actually the card I pulled in my Oracle deck yesterday. I went to buy a new computer and I walked out. I ran into friends that I grew up with, and one of them is the first mindfulness coach of the NHL. And having this conversation about mindfulness, I'm like, I'm going to talk about the retreat. So I tell them about the retreat, and he said, you need to meet my friend Riley Cote, who was on the Philadelphia Flyers. Then I'm like, okay, why? And he's like, well, he's really into psychedelic medicine and healing journey. And I feel like you'd vibe with him and his girlfriend. And I said, okay, great. So I happened to get a new job in my work, and it took me to Denver. When I look up what's happening in Denver, I want to go see some music. I realized that the Psychedelic Science Conference was that same week, of course. So I figured that this person, Riley, would be there. So I messaged him. Of course, he was there. And I met up with him and his girlfriend, Jessica, who is amazing. And she embodies the same spirit that you do as a teacher and holding space and really helping people channel. So I invited her in and been hanging out with her and connecting with her. And she studies Jungian psychology. She does Kundalini yoga, a lot of meditation, and sound bath. So it just really was the perfect complement to the work that you do. And really, really, really excited that she's going to be there. And she's taught at a bunch of retreats. She's hosted her own retreats as well. So very solid and very inspiring woman, and just really excited. We're going to do some inner beauty meditation. We're going to do just a lot of really fun, juicy stuff. And then we're going to fold it in. So the last day, we're going to do some yoga, and then we're going to integrate, right? I do think the biggest part of having these peak experiences is that's great. And then what are you going to do with it? So I'm a little bit more obsessed with, okay, what's our action plan? And I have a toolkit that we're going to use, and everyone's going to go home with a journal and this toolkit card system where it's going to prompt them on how to keep this energy flowing and hold a little bit of accountability. And hopefully people make connections and we can form a community. We'll do some Zoom meetings after and see how people are feeling. I think that's the uplifting energy needs to get grounded and needs an action plan. The last thing I want is for people to come and then go back to their lives and feel exhausted again and feel like they need to come back. But you're welcome to come back. But I love for the next one or something different. I just want people to channel the energy and channel the inspiration.
Yeah.
Like I said, I go to a lot of fish shows and a lot of music shows and peak experiences, wherever you get them. All of that is meant for you to take and to use and pour that energy into something else, right? Whether it's your kids, whether it's your work, whether it's your food, your garden, whatever it is, it's like transmitting this energy and keeping that vibration going in a real way. And I feel that, and I feel like I've been playing with that magic, and a lot of stuff has been happening in my life.
I don't know that we've quite exactly talked about this, but my whole kind of thing that I teach everyone is all about this concept of what I call like the in-between, right? So instead of you like needing me or someone to help you every time you're like have a problem, like all the tools that I've created for people, specifically the inner child healing process, which we're going to do at the retreat, is to show you how to shift things for yourself on your own in between, like just as things come up. So you're able to understand why you're feeling how you're feeling, and then you're able to shift it and come back into your power and come back into the energy that you have felt at peak experiences, like on your own in real time. Because to me, I was always like, and that's why I work with people the way that I do, meaning you're able to talk to me every single day, is because to me, I'm like, how does it make sense if the therapy model, for example, okay, so you see me one day, and then what about the other 6 days? Now you're supposed to wait till next week to tell me what happened. You're probably not even going to remember. Or if you do remember, it's not going to have the same power as if it did in the moment when it's happening. And then I could walk you through in the moment so that eventually you're able to like walk yourself through it in the moment. Because to me, that whole thing doesn't make sense. Because I'm like, how are we dealing with the in-between? You know what I mean? It totally makes sense. And like we want to be able to take people beyond a peak experience to like, okay, well, how are you taking this and like using it to create actual tangible results in your life?
That's it. That's exactly it. Wow. We did not even talk about that ever. So I'm like getting chills.
I feel like I was going to say it when we had like our meeting, but then I forget things a lot. Well, like, I mean, things I'm going to say.
Yeah, we're just attuned to the same frequency. And I think it's interesting when you meet people even people that you've never met, and they're using the same vocabulary and they're describing things the same way. And I think to me, that just feels really connected and really refreshing and super validating, because we're all going on this journey alone, and it's hard to connect and share or to even understand the experience that you're having.
Yeah.
The other thing that comes to mind is I think a lot about, very trendy words that people use are like patriarchy, right? And it's like this like othering of this entity. And I think that energy is also within us, right? And I think that's some of the work that you tap into. It's the programming that we embody, right? And we want it to be something else, but like this people pleasing, right? This notion of feeling guilty and shame and all these things, and really thinking through what's informing those feelings, and if those are really your feelings or if those are like almost like this entity feeling that's making you think you're feeling that, right? And distilling that down. That's a lot of the work that I've been doing personally, trying to really sit with how to process information in real time or be reflective. But I had this experience yesterday at work. I'm a manager in business or a director in business, but I manage a team of 5. And working with one of my employees yesterday and having to give hard, honest feedback in a growth area and a growth opportunity. And in the moment, holding space and navigating that, she got defensive at first and was trying to push me to be reactive. And my ego wasn't playing with her. And I put it back on her and the way that I spoke. And then I just related my experience, and I was in her shoes before. And I think that completely calmed her down. By the end of the conversation, we were laughing and smiling. And I think she felt really strong to really think about the feedback in a different way versus just immediately rejecting it, right? Because her ego was bruised. And I really invited her in. Again, like the notion of doula and the work that I'm committed to doing, it's in all realms of my life is how I'm playing with it and practicing it. And it's really a testament of my authenticity and who I am and how I show up. And that is really important to me in this phase of my life.
Well, I think also you created connection instead of it just being like, you're doing this and you need to do better. And I think that's how it is usually in like the corporate world or like the old way of doing things. But it's like, that doesn't work, because then if you act like that, then the other person is going to give you the same energy. They're going to push back. They're not going to take the feedback, and they're just going to go talk shit about you or something. But if you make a connection and you like make them feel like, oh, I was in your shoes, like I totally get it, and you like create that like bond, then of course it's going to land better. Like this is not rocket science. I don't know why these things are like so hard for people to understand. Like, and maybe it's just me, I don't know. But I'm just like, why is this hard?
It's the way that we parent too, right? Like I feel like that's the same energy that I try to have with my daughter and my son as well. It just becomes, this is how we relate with other humans, and we keep our composure, right? And that's, I think, the most important part. And look, we don't get it right all the time, and we're human too, and we feel frustrated or we're tired or we're triggered, like this is a work. This is not anything that we're not masters in anything. Like we're all still doing the work. But what we've learned is how to really show up in a different way. And I'll share, working in the corporate environment, like they're not teaching leadership skills, right? Like you become a leader, but there's no process of teaching, right? And I think that what the work that I'm really doing right now, and I'm a mentor for a lot of women at work, and all of that is parlaying into this retreat. And it's really, this is where you're going to get the education, the leadership education to lead your life, right? It doesn't have to be in a corporate setting. It's like, this is leadership education for you to become your own authority and your own leader. And we're inviting you in to play and step up, because you know what? You have it in you. You're already curious about it. You're already doing it. So come and experience this, because it's going to be nothing like any other retreat you've ever had. I can guarantee that, or your money back.
No, and I totally agree because I feel like I've been in so many work environments, whether it be schools, obviously I've worked at a ton of schools, and also I've worked at a ton of restaurants. And like the degree to which any leadership person had zero leadership skills, it was like soul sucking, where it's just, dude, come on. Like if you're going to be in a leadership position, you have to be able to hold your power and authority and not create weird dynamics with people or weird relationships or do weird manipulative things that you're not even aware of. It's like, it's so funny how no one teaches that.
No, and it's an abuse of authority, 100%. And like you see that in the media with what happens with the Me Too movement with abuse of authority, but it doesn't land with just sexual abuse. It's like it's happening all over. And I've experienced it at work on many levels. And instead of being reactive or running the other way, I'm just like, okay, cool. Thank you for that. Now I'm going to like keep growing and then I'm going to keep rising. And I'm at my fifth job at this company in 7 years because I'm doing it differently and people see that. And so I get tapped for new positions and they want me to work on different areas of the business. And that's awesome. And I love it. I really enjoy it. And feel really excited to launch my own business too and have something that's mine. And I've always had a side hustle. I've always consulted, even when I was up to 6 months pregnant. And then I ended up going full time with my consulting company, So I've always had a food blog or been on a board of directors or coached my son's soccer team, right? Like I've always been doing something extra. And so this capacity that I have to contribute is something I've always really been honing. I think I will say removing alcohol in the past 2 years has really put me on a rocket ship of upgrading the capacity, right? I've always been able to handle it, but now, and I just want to be clear, I wasn't a frequent drinker. I didn't drink a lot and I don't think it matters, but for me, it was just an energy that was a distraction energy. And I really wanted to focus. And that was my intention because I knew I had this inside me and I really wanted to birth it. And
overall, for the company itself, beyond like the first retreat, like what do you see for it? What's your greater vision?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a traveling school. So we'll journey across the world and find really cool places to go. And we'll make sure that we're bringing something different to each one. And I really want to create this amazing agency of practitioners that I can just call upon and say, we're going to Thailand and I'm looking for this and this, let's go. And people come and there's just really, I'm curating the most amazing experiences. And it's about the people, it's about the food, it's about the place, and it's about the quality of the other attendees, right? And so that being that curator is my art. And I'm excited to lean into that in this experiential way. I also want to recognize that it is a privilege to be able to go spend a weekend somewhere. We all have financial constraints or time constraints and transportation constraints. And so I hear that. And therefore, I'm responding by offering, it's called Day Bliss. So Day, BLSS, Day Bliss. And there'll be local events, probably like 3 to 4 hour workshops. We're going to do the first one in Philadelphia at our dear friends bowling alley, North Bowl in Northern Liberties on September 28th. In the morning, early, 8:30 to 11:30. And Deb and Elise are going to come and do some yoga and breath work. And there's no bowling, it's not open yet, but our friends offering us the space to really create a really nice container and make it accessible for people who live in Philly or visiting, whatever, and just want to come get a taste. And maybe we'll do a bunch of those throughout the year and maybe a couple of retreats a year. And then we'll go from there. I mean, this is going to be big, right? I see it even in my 8:30 a.m. Saturday yoga classes, right? Hot yoga on a Saturday morning. It's all 20 somethings, right? These people they're not going out and getting wasted and being hungover, right? They're invested in their well-being and they're taking steps to prioritize their well-being and making that investment shift. And it's really fun to see.
It is interesting. I think I saw something about, I forget what it was, but like as just a statistic about how like the younger, is Gen Z the younger? Is it Gen Z?
Young kids.
The one before millennials is Gen Z, I think. I think it was Gen Z that like they're spending like astronomically less money on alcohol than the millennials did.
Yeah, I think they're feeling more, right? And so the numbing culture is going away. People are feeling more and they're trying to be more connected. And so we're seeing that at scale, right? And it's reflected in the numbers, but you see it on a local level, and there's a lot of creativity out there and collaboration and connection. And that is the feminine energy coming through, right? This empathy, this connection, this collaboration. Let's work together instead of against each other. Even in this building this business, I reconnected with a dear friend who's been an advisor, and he randomly met another person who's doing retreats. And he's like, you got to talk to her. I'm going to connect you. And I got on the phone with her, and she's super helpful, and everyone's really supportive and helpful. And I will say that's the other thing when I tell people I'm launching this, everyone's like, oh, I have someone to connect you to. No one has said, you're crazy. Why are you doing that? I have not gotten that response yet. Everyone sees me and sees this idea, and I'm speaking clearly about what my vision is, and people want to jump in. And I think to me, that's super validating and uplifting as well.
For sure. And I think like because I had this experience too, like when I started my business, because sometimes you have this feeling of like, because you know you want to do it and you know you're meant to do it, but also you sometimes are like, oh, this person's probably going to make fun of me or this person or whatever.
Yeah.
And largely for me, anytime I said what I was doing, like the response is like, oh yeah, obviously you're doing that. That's just who you are. That makes sense. Like people already see that because it's who you are.
Exactly.
So when you say it, it's just, oh yeah, like, I can't believe you haven't done that already kind of a thing, you know?
Yeah. You're making me think of the first question you asked, or the second question maybe, which is what's been like weighing on me, right? And when you launch a business, you're doing all of the responsibilities of the business, right? Not just the one thing and the skill that you're offering. It's the bookkeeping, the website building, the design. And so here I was at night and in the early mornings learning Squarespace and building a website and all this stuff. And I paused on that, right? And I got connected. Actually, Jessica's best friend, Monica O, she's an amazing designer. She designed my logo, my website, and it was money well spent, right? And could I have done it myself? Probably eventually, but like I quickly intervened with myself to say, is this where I should be putting my resourcing? And I'm grateful I made that decision. So I think knowing when to pull in your network to support or find the resource or the expert to take care of that task versus trying to feel like you have to do all of it. I'm really conscious of that and aware of that, and so grateful for Monica. I love my website, and my logo feels so much like me. It just feels like me in a brand, and it like brings tears to my eyes.
No, it's the best feeling. Like, so this is interesting. Like, I remember when my kids were born, and you know how like when your kids are born, like people give you stuff with their name on it. And especially like if it was like their first and last name, there was something about right after they were born that I loved looking at their name because it was just like a new, like a creation. Like it was something like I created. Yeah. And like I loved looking at their name. And then I remember when I created Elise Breathes, I had the same feeling where I just loved looking at the words Elise Breathes. Like it just it had that same exact feeling to me. And I feel like it's like that where you're like, this is mine. And it's like looking back at you on the paper.
Yeah. I think what's so interesting to build on that is it's happening for people who are really close to me, and they're seeing the word bliss all the time and then taking pictures and sending it to me. Like they're reading something, or I was reading a book that you inspired me to buy, that rebirth book. And there was a line when I opened, like, it was like at the moment I was creating this name, and the next page I turned and it was like, you have to find your bliss. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Right. So it's really, really cool to not have it come up just for me, and I think that's the spark that I'm trying to ignite in people and release and play with this energy. And I'm playing with it because I'm making it show up. I'm not making it, but like maybe I am having it show up because I'm turning them onto something, and like they're feeling that vibe, and now their eyes are attuned to it and they're catching it. And I think that I don't know what the words are for that, but that thing is really fucking cool.
Yeah, it's just the way that you're able to like spark something in somebody else. And then when you see it like reflected back to you, I totally get it. And I have that experience a lot, especially with clients too, where like they finally, even though I've said something a bunch of times, sometimes with a lot of the deeper trauma work, like it takes time for people to integrate it, some people more than others. But then when they finally say it back to you of, oh my God, I get this. And they like say it back and I'm like, yes. like, and you feel this like satisfaction of the impact you were able to have and the shift you were able to contribute to or like ignite within somebody else.
Yeah, I think that's the cosmic connection. And I don't mean that in a really esoteric way. I think it's really real. And I think that there's something there. And I don't know, the alien story is coming into my mind right now.
Oh, wait, we should definitely tell the alien story. So Steph and I saw an alien.
This happened. Okay. So we were camping during the pandemic in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. And at that time, the kids, I think Noah must have been 3 or 4, right? So our daughters are 1 year apart and our sons are a couple weeks apart. So I think the youngest were like 4 maybe, and the boys were like 7. So we went camping. And at that time, my husband would sleep in a tent by himself because I always felt like I would be rolling over with the kids. They roll on top of me all night. I was like, someone should get sleep. Why don't you go sleep in your own tent? So it was just me and the kids in a tent. And I was having this dream. And I guess I want to preface to say I was not an alien person. I did not deep dive into aliens. I had no cultural imprint of aliens, like obviously knew what aliens were and ET and all that stuff. But that was like not a thing I was like focused on. So I had this dream that this alien put its face up to the tent and I kept looking up and seeing it and I was studying its face and the skin was so metallic, right? It was like this metallic silver and the eyes, there were no eyelids. It was like these bug eyes coming at me. And then I went back to sleep and then an hour and a half later, I woke up and the alien was still there. And it was really intense. It felt very real, right? That's the only way I can describe it. And I also guess I should preface to say I do have very clear, vivid dreams. And that's something that my Zadie and my dad always had too. So I do come from a lineage of like dream healers. But so I woke up.
Yeah, or you like get messages through dreams or whatever.
Yeah, messaging through. So I wake up and of course I sit down on a chair next to Elise and I was like, I just had a really real dream. And I'm like kind of shook from it, and I'm describing to her what I saw. And she goes, oh, that was a big gray. Yeah, they're known for reading people for 90 minutes. And I was like, what? And she pulls it up on her phone and she shows me.
By the way, I was deep diving into aliens at that time.
Yeah. The picture that she shows me is the exact being that I saw. You guys, the skin, you remember those oily stickers when you were younger, right?
Yeah.
The skin was like this gray blue oily sticker. It was like this metallic face. It was so real. And I'll pass it back to you, Elise, because this is at least she was upset because she was like, I was calling in the alien. You got to see it.
So this was like 2020. And right around that time, I was deep diving alien stuff. Not that I wasn't before. Like I've always gone through phases of this kind of stuff where I like deep dive into different rabbit holes of stuff, like always. But at that time, like I was watching like the Stephen Greer stuff and I was like really into like whatever, all that stuff. And I remember I had been reading, you know what? And I also had this book. Oh God, I don't remember the book, but it was like all the different alien like species and everything about them or something like that. So anyway, I knew at that time like all this stuff and I had been like reading about the grays. Like I knew exactly what it was. And since we were out in the middle of nowhere, I was like, oh, wouldn't that be interesting if there was like, I don't think I was like, oh my God, I want an alien to show up. But I was like, oh, I wonder if this will happen or that would be cool or this would be the place for it to happen. And then I was like, oh, you saw the alien? Like I wanted to see the alien.
True story. And from that experience, I had already, look, the pandemic freaked all of us out in whatever way, or maybe it didn't. I don't know, but it freaked me out.
Freaked everyone out.
I feel like safe to say that. Yeah.
their own
I think
way.
for
Yes.
me, it was like real hit to my nervous system and the cortisone of like fight or flight. And the messaging that I took from that experience was like, you're being too human. You don't need to be too human. Stop being so emotional. Get it together, girl. And I actually stopped drinking for 3 months after that. And it really catapulted me into this whole journey. So for me, I used it as like an inspiration message of do the work that I need to do, which is what I'm feeling called to do, and share my gifts with the world because I do believe in my gifts and I do feel like I have them, and I know that it's going to help people feel better.
Well, it's funny because I was just like literally right before we got on this call, I was leaving a message for one of my clients because he was talking about like stuff that he wanted to do like before 2020 and then wanting to get back to some of that stuff because everything got derailed in 2020. And I truly feel that like 2020 was like a huge like timeline shift and we like switched into different reality. And I was telling him that and I was like, listen, I'm not saying you shouldn't do any of that stuff, but it might also not be on the agenda in the same way, or it might look different now because we're on a totally different timeline. So I think that that period in time really shifted things for a lot of people. I mean, it's when I started my business. It was a catalyst, I think, for so many things. And I don't think there's anyone that can say they're the same exact person that they were in 2019 as they are right now.
Yeah, I launched a whole art business too, and I do tapestry weaving, and I realized this skill set that has just been dormant in me, and now I get to unleash it, and it's been really fun to create and sell art. Yes, 1000% yes. I think it was really scary. So I just want to acknowledge that. And it was really traumatic and sad, but it was also an opportunity to rethink your way of living and what you want to contribute. And so if you take inventory of that, it's an opportunity to seek and grow.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think it was like, I think a lot of people felt like the rug got pulled out from under them, but then it was like when you like recover from that, then you're in like a whole other trajectory or direction or like version of yourself.
Yeah. And I think stepping into your power and realizing the energies that you want to have around you. And this week, my marriage ended and I'm getting a divorce. And just that decision upon birthing this business, it just felt really.
That's huge. Thank you for sharing that. I just wanted to say I knew that already. Obviously, you're not springing that on me, but
Yeah. I mean, look, I think it's a really hard place to be. And I do feel that I really investigated every perspective I could to continue the relationship and ultimately made the decision to not continue it. But I feel very at peace with investing all of myself into trying. And maybe I didn't do the best job I could do at showing up in the relationship. I don't think it's one person or the other, but it just wasn't getting solved. And so for me, moving on is what I need to do, especially as I launch this business and want to uplift other women to feel their sense of power. I really needed to realize my own. I'm not advocating for divorce. I'm not here to try to, it's not a divorce retreat. But for me personally, to start something, I really needed to be in my authentic self. And it really took me to this place. And it's sad and happy at the same time.
I totally get it. And I think that we were talking about this the other day, but like when you start a business, it's such a different thing in terms of your energy. Like your energy has to be in alignment with what you truly believe and who you truly are. And especially just even to hold the energy of the business, like it's a lot and it has to be like you really have to be an embodiment of the work.
Yeah.
And that also doesn't mean that you're like perfect all the time. Like
No.
sometimes Matt will be like, "Well, you're really upset and you teach these things." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm upset because I'm feeling my fucking feelings." And that's what I teach.
Feel your feels. Yeah, absolutely. I think, like I said before, we're all doing the work, right? We're all here. And so why not be here together, right?
Yes.
We're all in this together and we like to share a bath or have a bath. I don't know. I gotta edit that one out, but
yeah. Okay. So let's go into really quick. We're going to share all the links below and stuff like that. But what do people need to do to like find out more information and sign up for the retreat in October? And how many spaces are left?
great. So you can go to blissretreats.com. It's BLSS, no I, BLSSretreats.com. And all the information's there. You can reserve your space. You're basically going to put a deposit down. We're going to get on the phone. We're going to check in with each other. You're going to decide if you want your own room, if you want a shared room. There's 5 king rooms. So it's a really intimate experience. So you can either share a room or get your own room. And then I can answer any questions you have. We're going to have a vegetarian chef there. It's going to be vegetarian and dairy free, really good, nourishing food. The space is amazing. There's a 9-person hot tub. There's a sauna. It's peak foliage. So you're going to see all the gorgeous colors.
By the way, if people are not East Coast people, like to come to the Catskills in fall is that in itself is a very incredible experience. Like the fall foliage is magical during that time.
Yes, thank you. And it's a choose your own adventure experience, right? You do what works for you and there's no judgment. You just do what works for you. If you want to go sit in the hot tub and chill out, go do that. Everything's celebrated. So you get to decide what you want to do, what you don't want to do, but you're there from Thursday night and then Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. Like I said, we'll do the integration work and then send you on your way, hopefully blissed out. And for any of Elise Breathes listeners out there, I have an early bird pricing right now, but I'm willing to extend to you. So when you book, just in the comment, put Elise Breathes. And if you do that, right, Elise Breathes in the comment, I'm happy to honor the discount price. So we can share that in the show notes. Yeah. I also am on Instagram at Bliss Retreats. And if you follow Elise, she has links for it as well.
Awesome.
And if you want to join us in Philadelphia, the Day Bliss, it's just another tab on the website. So just click around on the website, read all the content. And again, if you have any feedback, like y'all smart people, if you have any feedback or questions, comments, concerns, please reach out. I love when people share observations. So definitely welcome any of those too.
Cool. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited.
This was so fun. I can't believe an hour just flew by. It's like,
I know.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for supporting Elise.
Thank you. And hopefully we'll see some of you in the Catskills in October.
Yay. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to follow the show on Apple or Spotify, leave a review, and share the show with your friends who you know are yearning for this type of content. When you leave a review, send us a screenshot and we'll send you a $250 credit that you can apply to joining anything new in my world. You can stay connected with me by following me on Instagram at Elise_Breathes. Make sure you download my Clear Trauma cheat sheet at EliseBreathes.com. See you next time.